It's Monday, October 18, 2021. You're now with me, Shal Shaminato, for TVS Nightline. Let's begin with the headlines tonight. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture is considering handing out grants and assistance worth 10 million ringgit to the local creative arts industry in the state. Its Minister Dato Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said the assistance would be channeled next year through the Ministry's New Heritage, Arts and Culture Facilitation Fund.
I'm also very glad to announce recently during the passing or the introduction of the 2022 state budget, Right Honourable Chief Minister did announce a facilitation fund of 10 million for my ministry, which we can give out as grants or assistance to those who are also involved in the textile and weaving industry.
Abdul Karim was met at the Tenon Fashion Week 2021 on Sunday. He noted that such an event was a good platform that could elevate the hand-woven textiles industry internationally.
On behalf of the state government, I wish to congratulate our Puat Kubu and Songket weavers from Ulukapi, from Gedong, from Lawe, and also from Kuching, who have presented great collections at Tenon Fashion Week.
And now on to the next highlight. The new Borneo Cultural Museum is slated for opening in the first quarter of next year. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Dato Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said the museum was supposed to be opened to the public by the end of last year. But just like the others, its opening was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sepatutnya ia dirasmikan hujung tahun lepas, tapi ekoran daripada COVID ini dia telah delay. Kemungkinan kalau hujung tahun ini pun kita mungkin tak dapat, mungkin awal the first quarter of next year. Hopefully I can do it that time lah.
Abdul Karim said the museum deserves a grand opening as it would be the second largest museum in Southeast Asia when opened. In addition, the museum is also in the midst of acquiring artifacts and specimens for the exhibitions and noted that the pandemic has delayed the process.
On the other hand, the federal government is studying laws being used at the state level and court cases in several states involving the implementation of laws related to party hopping. The government is also looking into the models of anti-hopping laws in several countries such as India, Singapore, New Zealand and the United Kingdom.
Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Parliament and Law, Dato Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar told Dewan Negara that the findings of the study will be discussed through a bipartisan engagement session. Wan Junaidi said the government was committed to ensuring the anti-party hopping law that would be enacted would protect the rights of the people who had voted and put their trust in politicians during elections. The government would also ensure engagement are being held with stakeholders, non-governmental organizations, NGO, members of parliament from the government and opposition and the public to ensure the new bill receives support from all parties. Additionally, Wan Junaidi said there was also no necessity for engagement sessions with foreign legal experts as the country has sufficient expertise on the matter.
The Fire and Rescue Department, JPBM, has identified 6 states to be given special attention in the northeast monsoon or flood disasters, which are expected to start this month until March 2022. Its Director General, Muhammad Hamdan Wahid, said the 6 states were Sarawak, Sabah, Johor, Kelantan, Terengganu and Pahang.
According to him, a total of 1,300 firefighters from 36 fire stations throughout the state have also prepared to face any potential disasters.
Sebenarnya negeri Sarawak ni 36 balai beroperasi, salah satu negeri yang terbanyak balai bomba. yang sudah beroperasi. Ada pembinaan lagi, tak silap saya, ada 3-4 balai sedang dalam pembinaan. Jadi dengan kekuatan ini, dengan kolaborasi dengan agensi-agensi yang lain dan juga ada kerjasama secara strategik, kita percaya we try our best lah untuk memberi perkhidmatan yang terbaik semasa berlakunya bencana banjir.
He also added that preparations are being made by JPBM in terms of logistics to be placed in hotspots or zones that have been identified. In Sarawak, the 3 zones include Kuching, Sibu and Miri.
Kita berdoa semoga tahap ekstrim dia tidaklah seperti tahun lepas ataupun tahun 2014. Cuma sekarang ni kita kena mengambil langkah. Ada tempat yang kita kena pasti hotspot, tetapi tempat yang kena banjir teruknya adalah tempat lain. Yang ini berlaku tahun lepas. Sebagai contohnya kawasan Maran, Lipis. Kita fokus lebih kepada tempat lain, tetapi tempat ini yang kena ekstrim.
A total of 12,500 firefighters in each station throughout the country have been ready to be deployed to the locations in the event of a disaster. Meanwhile, JPBM will also consider abiding by the stipulated standard operating procedures or SOP set by the National Security Council.
Meanwhile, no approval will be given to developers' development plan applications that failed to fulfill conditions of meeting the needs of the disabled. This matter will ensure that the developers complied with all the conditions set in providing housing needs for the disabled.
Deputy Housing and Local Government Minister Dato Sri Ismail Abdul Muttalib said the conditions were under the Persons with Disabilities Act 2008, Act 685 and the Malaysian Construction Industry Standards. Abdul Muttalib also said the local authorities must ensure all the needs of the disabled were met and they should not approve the development plan until all requirements are complied. He said the ministry has set 1% of the total units of the People's Housing Programme PPR to be allocated for the disabled. As of August 31st, 2021, there were 936 units for the disabled at the PPRs nationwide, with 809 units currently being occupied.
Servis Sarawak merupakan model penyampaian perkhidmatan baru kerajaan negeri dalam usaha untuk menyampaikan perkhidmatan cemerlang kepada rakyat Sarawak. Ia telah dirasmikan oleh Ketua Menteri Sarawak yang amat berhormat Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg pada 2 Disember 2018. Setakat ini, 3 pusat perkhidmatan servis Sarawak telah dilaksanakan iaitu di Kuching, Sibu dan Miri. Kepelbagaian saluran perkhidmatan seperti khidmat kaunter, portal rasmi, aplikasi telefon pintar dan e-kios memudahkan rakyat dalam membuat pilihan pembayaran. Servis Sarawak ini berkonsepkan No Wrong Counter yang menawarkan gabungan perkhidmatan pelbagai agensi di Sarawak dalam sesebuah kaunter perkhidmatan. Berteraskan mesra pelanggan, servis Sarawak diharapkan dapat menjadi saluran perkhidmatan yang mampu memenuhi kehendak serta keperluan rakyat di Sarawak.
Sinema minggu ini membawakan
tawaran pakej peranti keluarga Malaysia dan pakej remaja keluarga Malaysia dibuka. Finas pandang serius isu kes jangkitan COVID-19 di lokasi penggambaran. Sang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings lakonan Michelle Yeoh raih RM1.67 bilion. Rebet sapu rentas dunia lagi.
#ini Sinemaku.
Kalau dulu zaman peperangan pemberontakan, clearing ini juga sebagai satu pengumpulan tempat bersumpah dan sebagai satu pelindung kepada komuniti kita.
Ianya diguna kerana ia memudahkan, dia akan menjauhkan tubuh badan dari kepanasan.
Ada 2 makhluk, kepala dia berada di bawah, satu kepala dia berada di atas. Berkemungkinan dia cuba untuk bercakap tentang balance.
Welcome back to the Nightline with the COVID-19 development. The number of COVID-19 daily cases in Sarawak continues to decline, with 694 reported today as compared to 730 cases yesterday.
The State Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) in a statement said, out of the new cases, only 38 were cases involving lung infection that required oxygen support or ventilators. The other 656 cases exhibit mild or no symptoms, bringing the cumulative number of cases in Sarawak to 232,224. Among the areas recording high number of cases today were Kuching with 187, followed by Miri with 139 and Cebu with 88. Meanwhile, 13 fatalities from COVID-19 were recorded in Sarawak from October 13 to 16, while there are still 45 active clusters in the state.
The government has been continuously advocating the benefits of receiving the COVID-19 vaccine backed with scientific evidence from numerous studies. However, there are several people who would use these messages against the government to dampen Malaysia's target in achieving a complete herd immunity. And Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has had enough.
On his Twitter account, Khairi made a firm statement stating that the government has made enough effort to explain the goodness and effectiveness of getting inoculated. He said as the health minister, he would continue on advocating the same message, even if some would start calling him the devil for doing so. Khairi had previously said that the government would be taking a firm approach against those who refuse to be vaccinated against COVID-19, and they would not be entitled to privileges that their counterparts are able to enjoy. Opposition leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim described the statement by Khairi as arrogance and that he would continue to speak on the matter where he deems is right.
In a similar development, the government's stand in taking action against those who refuse to be vaccinated against COVID-19 is not to persecute them, but to prevent greater harm. This was said by Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein. He also added the anti-vaxxers were free to maintain their stand, but they should not expect the flexibility given to those who have been vaccinated would also apply to them. Yesterday, Ismail Sabri was reported to have said the government had no intention of causing hardship to any parties by placing various regulations in its fight against the pandemic. Instead, those who do not take the vaccines were only making life difficult for themselves, as they could not enjoy the facilities afforded to those who are fully vaccinated. The anti-vaccine groups had not been given a clear explanation on the COVID-19 vaccine. Therefore, the Ministry of Health (MOH) plans to meet with these groups. The ministry wants to provide them with facts and information on the COVID-19 vaccine based on authentic clinical studies.
Deputy Health Minister Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali said he could help arrange the meeting, which would involve Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin.
Jadi saya nak sarankan Yang Berhormat dan semua bahawa kalau ada kumpulan ini, why not, kenapa tidak kita jumpa? Kenapa tidak kita datang nanti, kita boleh uruskan, saya boleh berbincang dengan Yang Berhormat Menteri Kesihatan supaya kita bersemuka dan kita cakap yang sebenar-benarnya. Jangan kita cakap sini sana dan menyebarkan berita palsu, kita bimbang juga. Nanti KKMM akan mengambil tindakan kerana penyebaran berita palsu pula.
Meanwhile, Dr. Nur Azmi said that the decision to carry out the vaccination program was made after taking into account the results of studies conducted locally or abroad. He said the ministry had previously stated that vaccination was not a cure against COVID-19, but it could help boost the immune system to fight the virus. On the COVID-19 booster shots, Dr. Nur Azmi said there were studies that showed immunity against the virus might wane 6 months after receiving the vaccine.
Meanwhile, Labuan has begun administering COVID-19 vaccine booster shots under a three-phase exercise, which will see almost 20,000 people getting their third jab. Its health director, Dr. Ismuni Buhari, said the three phases are expected to be completed by the end of the year or early next year.
According to Dr. Ismuni, the first phase would involve 1,290 health personnel, followed by 2,500 non-healthcare personnel, inclusive of members of the media. The third or final phase of the program would involve 16,000 individuals who are categorized in the high-risk group. The first phase would involve healthcare personnel, followed by non-healthcare frontliners and media fraternity, and lastly some 16,000 individuals belonging to the high-risk groups. Before the program was launched in Labuan, Dr. Ismuni said they have been given the green light from the Ministry of Health to administer the booster shots starting today. And only those who have completed the recommended 6-month interval of the second jab are eligible for the booster shots. To ensure smooth flow of the program, Dr. Ismuni said 3 vaccinations were set up, namely Labuan Hospital, Labuan Air Force Base Camp, and the Mumbadai Healthcare Clinic.
And now on to the next update. Crude palm oil CPO production and exports are expected to be sustainable in 2022. This will be supported by positive developments in the COVID-19 situation, better prospects for global oils and fats, and favorable trade policies in importing countries. Malaysian Palm Oil Board Director General Dr. Ahmad Parviz Gulam Kadir said it is the continuation from the improvement seen towards the end of 2021. Thereby, production and exports are expected to show some improvement year on year. Dr. Ahmad Parviz projected Malaysian CPO production for this year to be at 18 million tonnes. Exports of palm oil are expected to decline by 6.2% to 16.3 million tonnes versus 17.37 million tonnes in 2020. As for revenue, Malaysia is expected to record 95 billion ringgit export revenue from palm oil. And Malaysia continues to attract quality investment. The latest trade and investment mission to France has successfully generated total potential investment of 2.6 billion ringgit and 300 million ringgit for potential exports. This validates the success of the country in enhancing participation of local companies in the high-value global supply chain.
Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, said in a statement the strong interest shown by French companies garnered during the mission serves as major catalyst in expanding bilateral trade and investment relations, most notably in areas that support the sustainable and green agenda advocated by both nations. The French enterprises showed great interest to continue making Malaysia their business partner. MITI added they are specifically in the aerospace, biotechnology, advanced chemical, medical device, halal product, and the construction sectors. The trade and investment mission to France, which took place from October 15 to 17, was led by MITI and Senior Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali.
Meanwhile, in Brunei, a study found that its workers in the Sultanate are working longer hours during the pandemic. Based on the study, 56% or 1,574 respondents, which include students, teachers and civil servants and corporate staff, said that working in the new norm presents a new challenge as they are working longer hours than before and with more workload. Now our colleague in Brunei, Paula Malai Ali, has the report.
It's been more than a year since Brunei Darussalam reported 0 cases of the coronavirus, and then August 2021 came upon us, resulting in the country's second COVID wave hitting the nation. And whilst we're all continuing to adjust to this new norm where both work and education is done online, for many, not going into the office and working from home seems like a great idea, but it does, however, bring with it some challenges. Many teachers have reported work burnout as they grapple with not only having to teach themselves, but to then prepare online teaching material for the students. It's also a physical challenge. Some teachers have been having eye strains and neck muscle issues as well. And there are concerns of mental health being a problem as well with the civil servants, as a significant number feel the need to work all day as they deal with superiors who assign tasks outside of the office hours. The irregular working hours and frequent online meetings have led to concerns of mental health, well-being and frustration. And the same scenario can be said about the private sector, citing really long hours as being unfair. They are struggling to find that balance between work and home. And as we all learn to adjust, it's just the extraneous issues such as unstable internet connection causing another element of stress. On the flip side, however, it has not stopped people from having a little retail therapy. Online shopping has increased. We also had a big jump in WhatsApp, video calling and online streaming, all understandably being boosted, with 91% over on WhatsApp, Zoom's on 73% and Microsoft Teams on 70%. As we look around our little country, there is a general feeling that very soon the new normal will very much be simply normal. Paula Mala Ali, TVS, Brunei.
Suntex Commercial merupakan badan berkaitan kerajaan atau GLC di bawah naungan kerajaan negeri yang menjadi pemacu pengkomersialan produk Sarawak Heritage serta digital products di Sarawak. Inisiatif ke-12 daripada 81 inisiatif Ketua Menteri Sarawak ini diambil bagi membantu pelajar Suntex serta komuniti setempat untuk memasarkan produk mereka pada peringkat domestik maupun peringkat antarabangsa. Suntex Commercial mempromosikan produk fizikal serta perkhidmatan yang terbahagi kepada bidang teknikal dan bidang digital. Perkhidmatan dalam bidang teknikal menyediakan kemahiran pengelektrikan, kecantikan, pemotongan rambut dan sebagainya yang turut dikomersialkan melalui aplikasi Sarawak Expert. Satu ekosistem lengkap yang bermula daripada latihan hingga kepada proses penjanaan pendapatan dapat dicapai dengan adanya Suntex Commercial yang diwujudkan oleh Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak.
Rezeki Tuhan, rezeki tanah.
Welcome to Take Me to Sarawak, the travel show that takes you on a journey for great food, culture, and meeting interesting people in little-known places. Follow me as I rediscover my homeland. Every Sunday, 7:15 p.m. only on TVS Channel 122 Astro and MyTV. Aram, kita rawat.
Saya amat berharap agar seni serta budaya tarian kita dapat dikekalkan oleh generasi yang akan datang, terutamanya di Sarawak, supaya ianya tidak ditelan zaman. Seni dan budaya ini hendaklah diteruskan oleh generasi yang akan datang.
Sebelum kita masuk latihan, lupakan perkara personal. Tinggalkan perkara personal tu di depan pintu. Kita masuk training, tutup, jangan bawa.
Thank you for staying with me. Now it is confirmed that the 31st Southeast Asia Games in Hanoi, Vietnam will be held in May 2022. However, the Vietnam Organizing Committee will only fix the exact dates for the biennial games at the end of this month after getting confirmation from the Vietnam government.
Olympic Council of Malaysia OCM President Tan Sri Muhammad Norza Zakari said the decision was made during the virtual SEA Games Federation office meeting, which was chaired by its Chief Executive Officer, Datuk Sri Chayapak Siriwat. In July, the SEA Games Federation confirmed that the 31st SEA Games that was scheduled to be held on November 21st to December 2nd would be moved to next year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Muhammad Norza hoped that the confirmation would be relieved to the athletes and officials involved who had previously felt trapped in a dilemma regarding their preparations for the Games due to the uncertainty.
In order to dispel the stigma around mental health, a building in Madrid, Spain has come up with a unique concept where visitors can drop by to cry. Known as the Crying Room, the space features signs that tell visitors that it is okay to ask for help when dealing with mental health issues.
La Loleria features signs that include enter and cry or I too have anxiety. One corner also features phones with a list of people to call if visitors are feeling low, including psychologists. And just about anyone can drop in to seek help.
La idea de la llorería sale de la frase que se usa en España para cuando no quieres preocuparte de los problemas del otro, te llaman a llorar a la llorería. Tú vete a tu rinconcito donde, con tus propios sentimientos y no hables de ellos, que es justo lo que nosotros queremos destigmatizar, que sí que se puede hablar de los sentimientos, que si estás mal puedes estarlo, si necesitas parar, si necesitas priorizarte a ti mismo, hazlo. Y por supuesto, si necesitas ayuda, pídela.
For Swedish student John Nelson, he found that the Crying Room concept was an excellent idea.
I think it's an excellent idea to visualize the widespread of the mental health issue. And I think it's a really fun take on it to call it the Crying Room because of the Spanish expression, if you want to cry, go to the crying room. So it's kind of stigmatized to cry in Spain as in many other countries.
According to government data, 3,671 people died by suicide in Spain last year, making it the second most common cause of death after natural causes. About 5.8% of the total population in the country suffers from anxiety, while 1 in 10 adolescents has been diagnosed with a mental health condition. In conjunction with the World Mental Health Day on October 10th, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announced a 100 million euro ringgit or 484 million ringgit mental health care drive. Calling it a public healthcare problem that the country must make visible and talk about, Sanchez launched the healthcare drive, which includes services like a 24-hour suicide helpline.
Right. As movie theatres are now reopened in Malaysia, attention are centralized around Marvel's Shang-Chi as the movie is exclusively distributed in theatres. Raved reviews about the movie are prevalent online as the movie breaks its own box office target, a first in 2021. But what thus do people think about the first Marvel Cinematic Universe Asian superhero? Let's find out.
10/10 sebab time orang keluarkan trailernya semua orang expect macam what Asian movie Marvel boleh sinya bola. Cerita yang best. Nang best gila.
I give 9 rate-nya sebab nya pun banyak action. Si ngantok nanggal lah. And nya ada berkait rapat dengan vibranium pun berang. Pun kita orang nangga ending yang kita tahu lah. Kami komen tahun nangga lah.
Personally for me 9.5. It's quite high sebab nya banyak scene lawak. Terus ya best lah. Ni kena saya ada yang si pas hati lah. Best. Sebabnya banyak yang scene lawak and then of course scene action ya best juga lah. Tapi pas hati.
I think it's 10.
Why 10? That's a perfect score.
Because it's an Asian movie in a Marvel studio.
Mula-mula yang si sangka lah sebab dia boleh bring Asian sampai tahap ke Malaysia pun aktor boleh masuk Marvel. Kena pasal mun kita menengok Crazy Rich Asian pun actress ada juga dalam cerita ya.
Oh, bangga. Kerja dengan Michelle Yeoh teh ada. Si tahunya ada. And then ada kakak sama Melayu indah teh. Sia represent Chinese culture. Bukanlah lah Malaysian culture gila tapi nya just Chinese culture. And then bangga lah, bangga.
Shang-Chi made its debut worldwide in September and is now the highest grossing movie of the year, garnering a total of $196.5 million in the US and Canada, surpassing ticket sales for Universal's movie F9 and Disney's other Marvel film, Black Widow, which was distributed only on Disney+. As reported by CNBC, the movie generated $363.4 million globally as of September 26. When asked how would Shang-Chi fare in a fight against other Marvel superheroes, here are some of the response from the people.
Rasanya hanya dapat lawan Hulk dengan tapi Captain America dah mati ya siapa. Dapat lawan Hulk dengan yalah Ant-Man rasanya.
Sebab apa?
Sebab ada kuasa gelangnya lah, dapat kira kuat kedak Thor pun tukul ya juga lah.
Doctor Strange maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea. Saya tahu, saya dapat nak compare.
I don't want them to fight each other.
And that review concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. Here with me, Shosha Merto, and I'll see you next time. Have a good morning.